modern drummer, David Frangioni, here with Iggor Cavalera. Igor,
hello.
Great to see you, man.
Great to see you.
Welcome.
Very nice to meet you. Big fan
Oh, well, thank you.
of all the stuff that you do, and of course, been following Modern Drum forever. So it's an honor to be here.
Well, it's our honor to have you here. We're 49 years old. Cavalera Conspiracy and Sepultura, along with it, are not that far behind, right? What year did the band start?
84. So yeah.
Okay, we're 77, you're 84.
Yeah, so it's quite, we've been around.
Awesome.
We've seen some things.
Man, well, you've made such huge impact. It's an honor to have you here today. Thank you for taking the time.
Thank you very much.
So everybody knows Igor's on tour, of course, with Cavalera Conspiracy, touring the States. And you guys tour kind of every year, every other year. What's the routine?
Pretty much all the time. Like
You're always touring.
We're always touring. I have many other projects as well. And then Max, of course, he does Soulfly and other things. So we're pretty much on the road 24/7. You know, that's a thing that it keeps us alive. It keeps our spirit alive to be playing music, performing, and all that stuff. So we're happy to be here.
Well, you know, Max's son, who plays drums in Soulfly, Zyon, he's a great drummer, great young man. I'm sure being his uncle, right? You've mentored him, and right? Have you? How is that? Well, how is his journey cross paths with yours?
That's a funny thing, because not only Zyon but also my kids, they don't really ask me for tips and things. It's a very natural thing of just watching each other and being around each other, and that's how it's my relationship with Zyon. You know, it's like it's very formal, but we understand. You know, like when I go see him play, I'm like paying attention to every detail. And same, like when he goes see me play, I can see him by the kit just going like, oh. So we absorbing each other's, ideas in some shape. So I think it's more about that. It's something that it's very difficult to translate in words, but it's more of a transmission of vibes and things. And that's how I see in our family how we do things. We don't really sit down and be like, that's how you should do your snare or your toms. Of course, I have little conversations with him about, I remember like when he started, I was telling him like, look, every hit counts. So you can't be a beast on the first 3 songs, and then by the end of the show, you're not hitting as powerful, and you lose your momentum. So it's like those little things you tell them. But all the other stuff, it's props to them, and to him. He's building his own history, his own path, and I'm a proud uncle,
Well, when you're talking about things like pacing yourself through the show, as you just described, those are the things that you learn from experience that you're saving him, and now all drummers that see this, having to go through the same learning, because once you learn that, you always apply it. And those are the lessons that become our kind of our gospel, as opposed to just, a tip or a trick. They're actually like a real approach.
Yeah, and somehow we had to learn by playing live, by performing and doing those things. It was before YouTube, before all those things where now you can do so much more research.
Right.
I used to put a record and just try to figure out what was the drum doing in the middle of everything. And that was my training. And then, of course, performing live is where you put that to the test.
Right.
It's the test of fire. Can you do this for an hour? And can you be powerful and apply all your ideas through the set? And I think it's, I love also the fact that now we have all those tools to look at it. Like I see a new drummer, I can go in and research what they do and in many different shapes, not just like a 2-minute thing on Instagram, but also, wow, can he do a whole show performing like this? So it's really important to have those tools nowadays. I'm not hating at all.
Sure.
But at my time, it was way harder.
So who inspired you when you started playing, before you guys started Sepultura? Who were your drum heroes?
My main drum hero always being Bill Ward from Sabbath. Okay. You can even see the Big Tom. It's a bit of a homage to how he set up his later kits, Yeah.
And single-headed.
Yeah.
He had double-headed drums with single heads. Similar,
to
double bass. There's some real Bill Ward in here. For
and
Zildjian cymbals.
He's my man. Like I have many drum heroes, but if I have to pick one person that defines for me like all those things that I'm talking about, like being creative in the studio, performing live with such energy.
Did you see him?
I got to see him many times live, and I have one of his bandanas that he gave it to me after he performed with Sabbath. So I keep that as a treasure, you know, for all my life. So I had the pleasure to watch him play towards the end of his career, of course, and he's just such a creative force.
He's an innovator.
Yes, and he was doing things that inspire us as Brazilians, like doing congas, doing overdubs with percussion, with Sabbath, and all those things.
On a metal record.
Yes, and that's for me, like people say like, oh, you pretty much created this whole tribal thing, and I'm like, no, there's many other people doing things that lead me to that path. And Bill Ward is definitely one of those guys. Super open-minded, you can hear, heavy, you can hear jazz, you can hear Latin things with him. So all those. So he's my man.
Wow, Bill Ward.
Yes.
And he's Modern Drummer Hall of Fame recipient last year.
Yes.
So he is really...
I'm happy for him.
It was quite a milestone, and he was very honored to receive it, and the community really spoke out. He's inspired drummers for generations.
Yeah.
But because the most consistent kind of stadium filling days that he had stems back to the early 70s, right? There's generations of drummers who discover him different ways. The crazy thing is that the very thing that we're inspiring in Bill Ward today through the drumming community is the very thing that kind of has had us catch up, because he was first. He was so early that he was first, because there aren't really, I don't know if we could go to 5 fingers on our hand if we're counting metal bands and the drummers that were in them when Sabbath launched.
And also pushing forward drumming. And for me, that's also that I always tell a lot of friends, family and fans, it's like, look, it's, the technique, of course, it's a beautiful thing, but pushing drumming to become like a fun thing to do. I want to have fun in my drums. And I can see Bill had that, that pleasure when he was playing. He's hitting things and he's like, it's just pure energy, and I like that over just the technical thing of being so stressed that you can see the person's not really enjoying themselves when they're playing.
So who else inspired you? With Bill being number one,
Bill is like,
who's next?
I have a big list of, like, of course, Stuart Copeland. It's like a huge influence as well.
Completely different side of the
Totally
drumming spectrum.
Yeah, but also like as a Latin, like I grew up playing samba and all those rhythms, and to see someone like him bringing that into like pop world, like we're talking someone that was like a #1 hit and doing crazy stuff on his drums, mixing up Jamaican styles and things like that with a punk attitude. So he's also another innovator in my view that really influenced me in many ways.
So when you found the drums, how old were you?
I was about 6.
And as you were going through being such a young person, did you take lessons, or how did you evolve as a drummer early on?
So I tried to take lessons when I was about 7 years old, because I started just playing samba, going to the football stadium with my dad and my brother, and picking up an instrument and just playing during the game, like with lots of like a drum ensemble kind of thing. And then I was like, now I want to get into drumming. So I tried to do some lessons, and that we're talking like 76. So I tried this drum school in São Paulo. And unfortunately, the teacher was a very radical person that really not understood my passion for drumming or my energy as a 6-7-year-old kid. And he was too strict on the whole thing of being...
He took all the fun out of it.
Yeah, and I was already going to school. So I felt like when I was going to learn drums, I was school again. So I was like, I don't want to do that. So I dropped out of drum school and started just self-thoughting myself and learning from that. And unfortunately, because I also believe that teaching drums it's such an art, you know, and I think, you know, for me, I was unlucky, but there's many other lucky persons that can get like an amazing teacher, a mentor that can guide them through stuff. So in my case, I had to go the hard way.
But in hindsight, it was the perfect way, because you learn things that you only would have learned that path. And was Max already playing guitar?
No, it's funny because I started playing drums way before we were into like even forming a band. I just love the drums. I was not even like thinking of, we should put together a rock band. It was many years later when I was like 11 when me and Max discovered rock by going to a Queen concert in Brazil.
That was my first concert, Queen.
See? That's it.
And Freddie at that time.
Yeah, and they were on the top of their thing in 1981 in Brazil, and of course like Roger doing like a drum solo, like the whole thing, it was magical. So me and Max, we came out of that show and we're like, that's what we need to do. And of course I was already the drummer, so he had to pick up
but it was that inspiring.
Oh, it was
that literally seeing them, and that tour was
the game.
See, I saw him on the jazz tour. I was a little before, but I was also super. You were 11.
Yeah.
I was like 8 when I saw Queen. So we're almost seeing him at the same time in our life, pretty close. And when I left the show, I was just mesmerized by what large scale live music can do, how it feels. There's an energy that is unlike anything else. And it sounds like it hit you and your brother to the point where they say that's what lit the fuse.
Yeah, and it's like we talk a lot about life-changing experiences, you know, and that's why when we perform live, sometimes I hope that we can do the same for other kids, young kids coming to the show, to inspire the same way that we got. No matter what style of music, but you know, something that you can come out of the show and be like, that's what I want to do, you know, that's what I want to pick up my sticks and play and do things and have a friend play the guitar and put together a band. So that's inspiration.
Thank you for watching and supporting everything Modern Drummer is up to. Hit the subscribe button down below. It means so much to us because we can keep bringing you the best drummers and content all the time. And please check out our shop. We've got Legends books. We've got back issues. We've got swag. Everything the drumming community could want. And it's so exciting to have you guys be the best part of it. Once again, thank you and enjoy the rest of the video. And you put together Sepultura, and when does it hit? How soon after you put it together?
Well, we're pretty young on everything. So by the time I was 14, we recorded our first record.
Wow, and is it on a label at that point?
Yeah, like a super underground, like, you know, like small label in Brazil put out like an EP.
Okay.
And I was 14.
And how'd you get their attention?
We were playing gigs, just doing our thing, you know, school festivals, whatever pub, we would go in.
And there was a buzz.
Yeah, and then these guys from a record store, they were like, wow, we want to put something out of these kids. And that was the first Sepultura EP, 1984. I was 14. And from that moment, it just kept escalating and growing until here we are.
And what was the moment between then and now, let's go early, because this would have happened a long time ago, where you felt like you were where Queen was when you saw them? Like you guys had really arrived, you were playing bigger places, bigger audiences, like that level of impact where you kind of shatter that
I think the show that would hit me, it was when we played Rock in Rio in Brazil on a metal night, you know. And
that's a massive show.
That's a massive festival that everybody knows. It's huge in Brazil, but it's one of the first festivals to bring a lot of international acts to South America.
Right.
And we were on that stage playing for like a sea of people.
Yeah, you don't see the last row.
No, and you just like, and I remember that was the thing. We were like, wow, I am where maybe Roger was at that time. Playing awesome. And then, you know, just feeling amazing.
And what year was that?
I think that was 91 or 92, if I'm not mistaken, but it was like I was 20 at that time.
Amazing. Yeah. Wow, so young. Yeah. And it's all just coming at you at 1,000,000 miles an hour.
Beautiful stuff, yeah. And looking back, I'm really really happy about like our whole history. Also, how we took steps on things, not only as a musician, but also as a drummer. You know, like it took me a long time to get a nice drum set. In Brazil, it's very difficult to find good instruments, especially in the 80s, in the 70s. So it was a lot of like, I had like some marching band stuff, my first drum set, totally improvised. And then to get to play something like this today, it took me also, it's a journey, you know.
Has it been Yamaha for a long time?
For quite a few years. I've been to a few companies before, and I'm one of those guys that I'm super loyal to whoever I am. I always been with most of the stuff except the drums I change. And usually the only reason I change my drums is if someone at the company doesn't appreciate.
Sure. If they're not supporting you and they're not collaborating.
If you don't have a cool relationship with them,
right.
I don't think it should be very much like a marriage or you know, a date. They have to be excited about having you in the same way.
And Yamaha is that.
That's it.
And we work with Yamaha very closely. They're a great company. They make incredible instruments, and they have an incredible team of people there.
They're
so
amazing.
I can see exactly why, you know, these drums are here and that you have that relationship.
And funny enough, like I always mention that sometimes in the studio I played Yamaha kits, but nobody could know because it's one of my favorites. So I would bring a Yamaha kit, perform in the studio, couldn't take pictures or anything. And then later, when finally I signed with Yamaha, I was like, I gotta tell you guys, I've been using this on some of my recordings without nobody knowing. And so much. Yeah, I'm a big fan of their sounds.
And these are which line of Yamaha drums?
This is the Absolute, you know, the hybrid, you know, like maple that they call, and they're loud. They're the way I like my drums to be, very easy to tune, you know, very just slap a head on, you know, do a bit of tweaks and you're in.
And the sound's there.
Sound is there, reliable for live performance, also studio. I use everything, so I'm very happy with it.
So this kit just has a little bit of a lot of things.
It really works, you know, for the stuff that I do. Like you mentioned, like this is a bit more of a percussive. A bit of a Brazilian, yeah, a bit of Brazilian Latin thing. And then, of course, here you have all the heavy.
Yeah, those are deep. Those are big sounds. Yeah, I mean, oof. All right, so let's go through the specifics. What do we have here?
So we have a 10-inch here, which that's like my percussion side of things. And then I have some rotos, which is 6 and another 10. And then I have a 16 floor tom that I use in the middle, which is quite unusual. But it's I do most of my tribal drumming stuff between those two.
This is an 18?
This is an 18 floor tom, and then a 16, and then a 14 snare brass, which is
6.5.
Yep, quite loud. 20-inch kicks, which I like my kicks to be a bit smaller for the punchy, but also
somewhat deep, right? Are these 16s or 14s?
They're 16s, so they're in between.
Okay.
But also because I do my toms a bit flat here.
Right, if you put 22s, those will get too high.
Yeah, and then I'm here with my toms, and it doesn't really work as well.
And you play them flat, so you're playing them very surface-like, so you can get more power. Right?
Yeah, so I do all this, you know, movements here. And then the huge bell I stole from the church of Zyon.
Yeah, I'm telling you. I mean, they're going to be going to mass when they hear you play that. Yeah. That bell is the size of this city. That's a mega bell ride by Zyon. It's a 21?
Yeah, 21. Beautiful sounding. I love how. And now we're talking about also cutting through a lot of heavy guitars and heavy bass.
Right.
So most of the things here, including that's one of the reasons I like to have the concert tom things. So they're very cut through, you know, like.
And the interesting thing is, they're mic'd from the top,
Yeah.
even though they're open in the bottom.
Yeah, it really works. In the studio, I do the mic, like to both mics, inside and outside, but live, this works best. You know, we try the inside, but this captures more of the attack.
Okay.
And yeah.
And then we have a Zildjian China.
Yeah, this is a 19, China here, which does a lot of noise as well. And then 2 crashes, which is quite simple, not a lot of cymbals. So the cymbal department, it's quite minimal, I have to say. You know,
And these are...
Yeah, though these are like the custom. So I have a 20, and then here I have a 19.
Okay, the projection crash.
Yeah, projection crash, really loud, very beautiful sounding as well for what I do.
And you're playing 14s, but the top's a bottom.
Yeah, I like because it gets a little heavier on top to accent.
And is the bottom a bottom too?
No, it's the other way around. So
oh, you just put the thinner cymbal on the bottom.
So it kind of like reverse the idea and adds a little, I think, extra punch, almost like a ride cymbal mixed with a hi-hat. And
you don't close the hats when you're doing double bass. Okay.
No, it's always open because it's like very
you want the slosh.
Yeah, it's almost like riding on the crash.
Right.
But here. So most of the time when I do double bass stuff, I either doing here the China or the hi-hats open, just going crazy.
Using Yamaha pedals.
Yes, those are the
hardware.
Yeah, everything
on
Yamaha.
A rack system. Keep it clean.
Yes, easy to set up as well. Very solid, as you can see. Like everything is. It's like I call like my little lowrider tank.
Yeah.
That's my my war tank here. So it keeps me also safe from the crowd. I have some stuff to keep me from.
Now we know why Bill Ward did it.
Yes.
Have you seen those Black Sabbath crowds?
That's it, man. They were going crazy. So maybe tonight this is gonna save me. I have all these things against kids jumping up, so this is good.
And we have electronics over here.
Electronics with the Roland SPD as the Pro version, and this is I use just to cut all the intros. So this is a bit of a mute.
Oh, it's a choke.
Yeah, that's it. Okay. So when I'm running the intros, if Max says something and I need to cut the intro a little shorter,
that'll be
boom,
a note off.
That's it.
Nice.
And it cuts all the sounds.
Oh, that's cool.
So it's very, very
practical.
Practical. Another funny thing I have here is this.
The iPad holder.
The iPad, which have notes for each song, because I get brain farts. I forget a lot of things sometimes, and I look into this, and this is my way of reading music.
Oh, nice.
I write these notes.
And that just keeps you in the moment.
Yeah, and then if I'm like, wow, what's next? I just look here.
That's a really cool, accessory.
Accessory for someone that forgets things like me.
Like most drummers.
Yeah, a lot of drummers, but some of them it's still.
In that moment,
yeah,
you guys are playing loud.
Yeah, it's loud. It's a lot of energy going on. You know, it's like the show. It's like an hour 25 of pure, a lot of fast stuff. We're also performing some records that we did, like I said, from '85 all the way to.
Are you performing anything off the EP?
Yes, we're performing 2 songs that I did when I was 14, which is for me it's like a very cool thing to still see the relevance of playing something that I wrote so young. And I'm still playing here and have people going crazy with it. It's quite special.
That is very special. All right, let's hear the kit.
Yeah.
All right. Let's not forget the drumsticks.
Oh yeah.
We have Vic Firth. You've been with them a while?
Forever since the.
That would be a while.
Yeah, forever since I was since I was 6. No, I've been with them for at least 30 years. So
amazing.
That's a lot of time.
And what are you playing?
I'm playing 2Bs, which is this 2BN version of it.
Okay.
And they do like the
and then
signature
you wrap
thing.
Them?
Yeah, I wrap them because I get very sweaty and also prevent some of the.
And you're wrapping them the opposite. Well, right? So that one at the tip and that one at the butt.
So that's also another Billward thing.
Okay.
I remember seeing an interview that he said that he used to flip his stick so it would get louder. Mm-hmm. So I do that on my snare. So.
And it does. It is a lot louder.
Yeah.
That's a club.
Yeah. This is like my little baseball bat. So yeah. So this is my world here. And yeah. I hope you guys enjoy watching this live as well.
Modern drummer, Iggor Cavalera. Check out Iggor with Cavalera Conspiracy. Check out the Sepultura catalog that you played on. That's iconic to say the least. And this is an awesome kit. And thank you for joining us. I'm David Frangioni, live from the stage.
Thanks, my brother.
Thank you, my brother. And we'll see you guys soon.
Destroy this place! Destroy! On the far lower the sky! We shall arise!